What's up? It's the Brunch Breakdown. Didi out here in Los Angeles. Chris and Dan are in Pittsburgh. Today, Brunch Breakdown. I'm very excited about this one, boys. I got a lot to get off my chest and some topics I can't wait to dive into. We've got a best
Ooh.
comedy movie bracket of the 21st century. We're going to dive into that. Disney is putting out a pop punk Disney covers album, which, hey man, there's a market for everybody. And this is good. Chris Gates' central topic right here.
Let's
Like
go.
this is, I mean, good Lord. I can't think of anything better for Chris in this one. And we've got beer, we've got a bunch of stuff. We got a lot. It's the brunch breakdown. Let's get into it. Dan, where can they find us?
Anywhere.
Let's
It's
go.
that simple. Anywhere
Okay.
podcasts
All
are
right.
available.
Now,
You can
Chris,
find
get it off your chest.
me. Every Wednesday, new episodes. Follow or subscribe wherever you like to listen. It's that simple. But we do video episodes as well. We're going to be breaking down this bracket. Now, we're going to walk you through it, but you want the visual, check out the videos. Those are on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. They come up at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Okay, so they get scheduled, but you can watch them on demand anytime you want to watch after that. Everywhere on social media, we are at Brunch Breakdown. Follow us. Let's be friends. Communicate, chat, chit chat, whatever you like to do on social media. We're there at Brunch Breakdown. And then, of course, the Sounds of Brunch, which we update on Spotify. We give you what we're listening to, put it into a delightful little playlist. We keep last week's on there because there's some jams, because like we give you jams. So we think they deserve more than a week on the Sounds of Brunch playlist. So check that out exclusively on Spotify every Friday.
Beautiful. Well, Chris, you weren't here last week, so let's get going. Get it off your chest.
Guys, I want to list a few names for you, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Not for all of them. I'll say the names, and then you tell me what it makes you think of.
Okay.
Oh,
Right? Chad Pennington, Randy Moss, Byron Leftwich, Ben Roethlisberger, Bruce Gradkowski, Julian Edelman. What do these names have in common?
phenomenal
Three
Mid-American
legends,
Conference football players.
rapists.
Mid-American Conference. Maction,
Never thought
baby.
about him another time in my life.
Maction.
I don't think all of them are rapists, Didi.
I said three legends, rapists, and I've never thought about the other name once in my life.
Dude, so college football starts this week.
Oh,
I am so bummed at how bad the MAC has become. Like they just have nothing. They got nothing, boys. All of the other conferences are like realigning, adding teams. There's star players. There's people that literally name one MAC football player.
Josh Cribbs.
I mean, that plays now. That plays now. Name one MAC football player.
I mean, that's the fun part about small conferences. You can't really name them until the season starts. I can't really name them until they do something. I'm not following MAC football.
Bro, the MAC used to
Yeah,
be the shit in the early
Eugene
2000s.
Jarvis.
Yeah, there used to be legit ballers that came out of the MAC, and they just got nothing. And that's what I've been thinking about, because this time of year, I mean, you boys know, our listeners probably do too. My brain is all football. And like I've been listening to the conference previews, and just like every one that I've listened to about the MAC, everybody's like, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a short episode because we don't got much to talk about. There's just not much going on in that conference. It's like the only conference that hasn't added schools either. Like it's still 12 schools, and like half of them are in Ohio. And like, I can't even name a coach in the MAC. I used to be able to say like, oh, Frank Solich, because he's been at Ohio for 37 years. I can't even tell you a coach in the MAC. It hurts my heart. As somebody who loves every level of college football, it breaks my heart that it has gotten this bad. And like, Dan, you and I kind of caught the tail end of it. We got to see Julian Edelman.
We did.
Like, right?
Yeah.
There were still like
Right.
a few players in the league, but like they got nothing.
It's so true. And like there's almost, Chris, like too much parity in that league where
Yeah,
everybody's just like, okay. Like
Right.
I'd rather there be a standout team that has a standout player or quarterback or defender where it's like, okay, let's at least there's a tune-in factor
Yeah.
for this one team. The MAC has none of that, and it hasn't for a long time. There's too much parity, and nobody's really that good. I'd rather one team be able to make some noise. I'd rather Bowling Green and get be ranked number 23 in the nation and at least give a little bit of shine to the MAC and beat up on everybody else. I don't care. I'd rather the conference do well. Like, obviously we want our alma mater to do well, but we prefer it to be them. But at least somebody from that conference would be nice to stick out. And yeah, I fear for the future of the Mid-American Conference. I think UMass is coming back though. I think there's a plan to bring UMass back into the conference again. So there we go.
In 2025, they're adding UMass.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Dude, the last MAC team that anybody knew about was like when PJ Fleck was at Western Michigan. Like That's my guy. There's been nothing since then.
True.
And like to your point, Dan, all these teams have to schedule like 3 bye games where they get their asses beat just to make money to fund like field hockey. That like no team can go 10-2 or 11-1 because they have to get their dicks kicked in at least 3 times by bigger schools. Like it's crazy. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
It just makes me sad.
Which one of these games are you excited for? Like I hate that they do this week 0 thing.
That's
all right,
the worst.
It's Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Montana State, New Mexico. SMU, Nevada, and Delaware State, Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dude, so you have to be a real sicko to get into some of these games, which I am.
Do.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious one is Florida State, Georgia Tech, because it's in Dublin, Ireland, too. So it's like,
oh God. So it's early, and so it's at like 6 a.m.
For you.
But it's like noon here, I think.
Okay, it's not. Okay, it's 9 here. That's what time. I didn't know.
Oh, it's on at 9 a.m. No shit.
Here. So
okay.
that means 12. There,
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like I find it fascinating that like part of the reason I tune into some of these games is just like, I want to know how many people actually go to Nevada football games. And that is such a niche thing to be into, you know? So I'll like tune in just to see that type of stuff. Yeah, they're not great games.
No.
Yeah, not at all. Well, this
segues
at
least one more.
No, there's not. And this segues perfectly into my chess segment. As we approach week 0, right? And then we know it's the unofficial kickoff for college football. We'll call it. And it's a wonderful, absolutely wonderful time of the year. Very, very excited that we're just a few weeks away from college football and then the NFL just shortly behind that. But the message that I have to remind myself, to remind you boys and our listeners, is for the football fans that are going to be watching games every Saturday, every Sunday from now until it's emotional. I'm getting really emotional.
I know what's wrong. What are you leading up to right now? What's happening?
Getting choked up. Sorry.
I feel the same way, Dan. I feel the same way.
This is such a big run. Like, good Lord, what's happening right now?
Wow. Goodness gracious. But they'll be watching football every weekend until February, right? Take this weekend, this upcoming weekend of week 0 in college football. Take this weekend and just enjoy the hell out of it, right? Take the final Saturday without football and do all those things you've been meaning to do all summer long. This is your chance to get it done. Take advantage of the few Sundays that we have left to do the same. Because before we know it, weekends will be centered around football, which is an amazing thing. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing at all. But with it comes commitment, right? Time commitment. And so all I'm saying, enjoy these final wonderful days of summer and these weekends where you can literally do what you want without scheduling it around a 4-hour football game, which will be delightful. But like go to a baseball game, maybe even do something like that. Go get crazy, but just get outside, enjoy the summer, because the best season of the year is about to commence. So skip the week 0 game.
Or you could
just
get up and have
get out in the bot.
You could have some brunch while it's on and then go do something after that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, because the week 0 game, I mean, if you're on the West Coast, it's on at 9 a.m. You know, that shit'll be over before. Well, it be over probably by 1 o'clock because college football takes forever.
Right.
So
well, it'll technically be over about a quarter and a half into the game.
That's true.
That's fair. And then then the rest of the broadcast will just be crying about how Florida State didn't get invited to the playoff. So
yeah,
that'll be half the lead up to the game. Good God. All right. Well, boys. So, you know how Facebook tells you what you did however many years ago, says what you did, whatever, all that stuff. So I wrote in 2011, I had a status that was up that said kids shouldn't be allowed in restaurants, airports, and weddings. And I gotta say, I'm still right. Like, kids shouldn't be allowed in any of those places. I have them, so that changes things. But that means I have to take them there. But that doesn't mean I want them there.
You're more of an expert now.
Yeah, I'm honestly, seriously. I know more now. I knew nothing then. I know more now, and I feel the same exact way. They shouldn't be allowed anywhere. Do I think people should lose their minds if kids are there? No, but honestly, none of the parents that have their kids on an airplane or in a restaurant or at a wedding want them there. And I took my kids we had to take our kids to a wedding because it was a wedding of one of their mom's friends, whatever. So they wanted kids there, and it was just whatever. Anyways, it's just not enjoyable. It's not an enjoyable experience. I don't know why anybody wants any kids at any wedding. It's dumb. It makes no sense. And then you had the other two. I don't know why any kid, if you've ever flown with your kids, it's not fun. It's not fun. Now, if you fly with an 8-year-old, that's different. They're not the kids I'm talking about. They just have an iPad and headphones, and they're good. But 2, 3, 4, no, absolutely not. Stupid. But just letting you know that just because you're a parent, that shit doesn't change. Doesn't change at all. I don't want them there. And that's really all I had to get off my chest, was that in 2011, me with no kids, and a lot of people commented saying, "Oh man, you'll change your mind. You have kids." Da, 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 da. No, didn't change.
13 years later, a parent of 3 doesn't change his mind.
Not at all.
And this segment brought to you by care.com. Care.com, where you can find babysitters, healthcare providers for any of those events.
Yeah, seriously. Always babysitters. Just babysitters are the greatest thing in the world. Shouts to Lauren, shouts to everybody, shouts to all my babysitters. Shouts to all. We got 3, we got 4. We got a rotation. We got a bench. We got a nice starting 5 of babysitters that we call when we need them, and
keep the kids at home.
Thank God for them.
Yeah, I don't. Why would I mean, weddings are obvious, and that's a no.
That's a 1 seed, right?
Yeah, right. We're gonna do
places kids shouldn't be.
Oh,
weddings a 1 seed.
Yeah, it's in the final.
A 1 seed, and then
we're talking brackets later, and that's 1.
And then I'll tell you out the air other reasons why it was just terrible, but I can't say that because that'll be one of those. Well, hey, Chris, when you edit the pod, I need you to edit this part out.
No, that never happens. Stevie.
That never happens. I'm trying to I'm trying to avoid that situation happening. But yeah, just kids just definitely don't need to be a lot of places.
Restaurants restaurants. It's like a 50-50 thing, and it obviously gets better. Like Diddy said, as your kids get older. Right now we're in this phase where it's either going to be the worst thing ever, or it's going to go so shockingly well. That's where we're at right now. And you don't know. So you prepare. We take so much stuff with us to go to restaurants because you just don't know. You may need 17 activities to keep the kids from killing each other, or they might just sit there and eat. It's one of those two things and nothing in between. So it's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game, folks.
Yeah, it's either a countdown until you're leaving. You're like, all right, because I can already tell the look on my kids' faces when we sit down. I'm like,
yeah, you order food and just immediately ask them to bring boxes.
Mm-hmm. It's this is gonna be quick. I can just see the look on Major's face. I'm like, I know what you're coming. I know what you're coming with to this. I know what you're bringing to the dinner today. I got it.
I gotta order a cold dish. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Legit.
Salad again. Please.
Seriously,
Salad.
it's what? Give me the BLT. Yeah, give me the BLT. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the quickest meal I can get? We should have a subscriber-based program where it's like a brunch breakdown after dark, where all the things that we talk to each other about off the air that we can't say on the air, we just charge people and they can listen.
We get a Patreon. See, then my wife won't care if I talk about things that I shouldn't talk about because she's like, "Yeah,
See,
someone's
right?
throwing in."
Be like, it's helping pay the bills.
Yeah.
You know, people want it. I mean,
You just
we
gotta
did
hope
get
that-
hashtag shit your pants nation came through this week for you, Chris.
They did.
So
They did.
I mean, they're willing. They're willing.
That's that. So the minute we start that, then it turns into a race, right? It turns into a race where it's like, can this make more money than your boss who maybe signs up and hears all the shit you've been saying and then fires you? Like, you got to replace that income, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could get a lot of people to sign up for it just to participate in. I mean, that itself is a reality show. So
that's true.
Like, do you want to sign up for Brunch Uncensored?
Yes.
Because this is either going to work or we're getting fired.
So then, in a way, it's like a GoFundMe, and everybody loves GoFundMe.
That's true. That's true.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody loves GoFundMe.
Yeah. Let's.
Yeah.
All right, we got something here. Yeah.
Stick a pin in this idea. I like this.
Okay.
I like this.
Okay.
All right.
Works.
GoFundMe Brunch is the title of this episode. So,
I like that.
all right. Well, now that we got topics off our chest, let's get into Brews Day. And boys, I don't know if you knew this, but Thursday was National Hazy IPA Day. Did you know this?
Did not know this.
Yeah. So the third Thursday in every August is National Hazy IPA Day. I don't know who makes this up, but hey, I saw it this week and I was like, you know what? Just like all these other dumb holidays, this was one that I enjoy. So every third Thursday in August, that's pretty great, right?
The third Thursday in August slips my mind every year. I don't know why I don't put it on the calendar. Damn it.
Thursday. Why not? So I'm gonna shout out Made West Hazy IPA. I really like this beer. I like it a lot. And they have a bunch of different Made West has a bunch of different hazy IPAs that they're constantly like shuffling through. So but I'm just gonna go with the regular hazy IPA that's always like on tap at a lot of places. So yeah, shouts to Made West Brewing Company.
Excellent. I like that. Thursday in August. Keep that in mind.
There we go.
Chris, what are you drinking? A hazy IPA?
No, I haven't had a beer this week, so I went looking to see if I could find like my favorite hazy, but I'm struggling to do that on the fly.
All right, I'll fill in for you. You want me to fill in, buy you some time?
Yeah, buy me a little time here.
I'll buy you time. Usually I go last, but that's fine. Because I came with a heavy hitter, not a hazy IPA for me this week, but the good fine folks at 450 North Brewing Company, who are the absolute world champions of smoothie sours. That's what they do, and they're now distributing very wide frequency of where they distribute. 450 North out of Columbus, Indiana. And gentlemen, I think one of the more underrated Pop-Tart flavors is wild berry. Do you feel me on that? The one with like the purple and blue icing?
I like it.
Are you a fan of the wild berry? I think it's a very underrated tart. So they took that and turned it into a beer, and they called it Toaster Tarts. And they brewed it with, blackberry, boysenberry, blueberry, and cranberry. There was so much berry going on. I mean, without completely ripping off the label. I mean, that's essentially what they did.
They almost are even using the same font. Like they got
the same font. Yeah, they lean heavy.
Wow,
they lean heavy into it. And so it was just that. I mean, that's exactly how the can looks. It was like, to be honest, it felt like I was drinking juice. It was like drinking a smoothie or juice. I don't know where the alcohol was. It wasn't in there. But that's fine. It was delicious. Tons of berry flavor. And just shouts to the wild berry Pop-Tart. One of the underrated flavors.
Yeah, amen to that. Like, I heard this on another podcast once, but it's like, if you end up in one of these discussions about best Pop-Tart flavor and you say cinnamon, like, just go to hell. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you haven't eaten any other Pop-Tarts, so you're not allowed to participate in this discussion. Okay, Airwave from Hitchhiker.
Hey,
Ooh,
Absolutely love that one. Shouts to Hitchhiker.
that's a great beer. That's a
Nice.
great beer. Yeah. Okay. No, next third Thursday in August, boys.
dude,
See you
We'll
there.
celebrate this 1 year from now.
we will definitely not remember. 100%.
No chance.
Yeah.
0% chance.
I'm trying to wish my calendar went this far in advance. I could like
I'll be like,
a
what is
wall
this?
calendar.
What is this on my
Yeah.
calendar?
Like, why is this on here?
Easy IPA day.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into the main menu. What are we starting with, boys? We going comedy? We going movies? Is what we're doing?
I think we should just so because this could take a while.
Okay, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
get into it. All right. Let's pull this up. Chris, you saw this. Where did you find this? Where did you find this? Let's do it.
It just came across my feed, man.
Yeah?
In the in the For You tab on Twitter, which guess what, guys? They nailed it. This definitely is for me. What is the best comedy movie of the 21st century? And I will, if you're not watching, you should be, because the visual here is important, but I will walk you through the bracket. There's 16 movies. So 1 seed Superbad against 16 seed Horrible Bosses. Number 8 seed Dodgeball against number 9 seed Tropic Thunder. Number 4 seed Step Brothers against number 13 Role Models. We have Forgetting Sarah Marshall as a 5 seed against 21 Jump Street as the 12. That's your classic 12-5. That's the left side of the bracket. The right side of the bracket, the other guys, is a 2 seed, which we're going to talk about that, against Ted, a 15 seed. 40-Year-Old Virgin is a 7 seed against Anchorman at 10. Borat is number 3 seed with Wedding Crashers at 14. We're also going to have to discuss that. And then The Hangover at 6 against Old School as the 11 seed. So, I mean, we got to pick a bracket here, boys, and come to a conclusion on what is the best comedy movie of the 21st century. And the reason this is for me and for us, I think, is because like we have seen these types of comedies almost cease to exist anymore. I feel like a lot of these comedies have levels of humor in them that like you kind of just can't do anymore, and they're hilarious. So I mean, I think I've seen every single one of these movies, which is normally not the case when we do some of these brackets or like pick 2. Like there's often stuff that I've never experienced. I've seen every single one of these. How about you boys? Have you guys seen all these, or are there any that you haven't?
I've seen all but one, and I've seen parts of it. And that was Ted is the only one I haven't seen the full movie of. But I've definitely seen all of these. And to your point, Chris, I actually just saw Vince Vaughn was just on the Pat McAfee show this week talking about that very topic. Somebody who asked him, like, what do you think about this transformation where the movies you made and have become famous for, like, aren't made anymore? Like, and it's a little bit of being careful of what you can and can't do in a comedy anymore. Talked exactly about that. And his response was like, you're right. For a while there, it was like nothing could be made. And he says, like, I feel it's starting to turn the tide where it's not going to be the exact same way that it was, but people are going to be a little bit more comfortable and loose, and like things in Hollywood, they're kind of not as tightly wound as they were. And he thinks like we're going to get close to that again, but also people aren't making movies for the big screen anymore. Everything's subscription based. Like he's in a new series that's out on Apple TV. And, you know, so then these actors are signing these deals with these subscription companies, and they're making like content exclusively for them. It could still be a movie, but it'll never be as big as any of these could be because they just weren't on the big screen. So interesting. What about you, Didi? You seen all these?
I have seen most of these. I think the only one I haven't seen. Actually, I've seen all of these. I feel like there are some that I have not seen all of. I think Role Models is the only one that I haven't like seen like all of. but I've seen some of it. But yeah,
Okay.
I've seen most of these. The world's just a different place now, though. That's the thing. You can watch 8 million different comedians in whatever way you want to watch them anytime you want to watch them now. You know, used to be the only way.
That's what he referenced. That's exactly what
thing.
Vince Vaughn referenced. He's like, stand up is like, that people are saying whatever they want in stand up anymore. Like they're like kind of not getting away with it, but again, it's not so tightly wound where people are like, these are just jokes. And so he's like, people. Like that's where all the viewers of these movies went. They started just watching stand up on Netflix and stuff like that. And so like they got their comedy relief that way. And so that's what he thinks might open the door to movies like this again. But boy, we have a lot to talk about at this bracket. That's for sure.
Let's get into it, boys.
Let's go.
We'll just go top to bottom, left to right. You got Superbad against Horrible Bosses. Thoughts?
Superbad. I truly hate Jason Sudeikis and Jason Bateman, so this is like
too bad Paul Rudd's not in that movie too.
Yeah, dude, seriously, it would have been like if Paul Rudd was in this movie, like it would be the worst movie of all time in my opinion. But yeah, I can't stand either one of those dudes' faces. So there's that.
That's incredible. I like this matchup. I think it's sneaky good. I think the seeding is probably appropriate. Superbad is the 1 seed overall. It's definitely in that conversation for what should be the 1 seed. But yeah, I like both of these rankings. I definitely have to go Superbad over Horrible Bosses here.
We're all in agreement. I'm going to approach this bracket. A big one for me is going to be like, how many one-liners did I just continue to repeat from seeing the movie?
Yes.
And Superbad is just, I mean, my God, what a movie. Okay, we all have Superbad. Second matchup is number 8 Dodgeball against number 9 Tropic Thunder. Thoughts?
Tropic Thunder.
Ooh.
Yeah, this
is a good matchup too. This is the 8-9.
Tropic Thunder is so smart and so funny. This was Dodgeball. Dodgeball is in the category of movie like, what's that other movie that was by the South Park dudes? Basketball.
Oh yeah.
Just get it out of my life.
Here's the thing.
It reminds me of scrolling through Comedy Central and then just like one of those movies were on and I'm like, just get it out of my life.
So I kind of been going with the same methodology as you, Chris, where like, how many one-liners do I retain and still use from the movie? Now I'll say this, Dodgeball, I quote a lot of still, and way more than Tropic Thunder. But overall, I think Tropic Thunder is a funnier. There are more laugh out loud funny moments in that movie. It's just so crazy and so hilarious that it's a slight margin of victory for me, the Tropic Thunder over Dodgeball. But I mean, that's a tough one.
I did not see that coming, boys. I got Dodgeball on this one, but my opinion doesn't matter because it already just lost. Tropic Thunder, definitely one of those movies that would not be probably produced today. For a number of reasons.
And here's the thing, like, you can't put that movie on TV. Like, that's another reason why I don't think it's as popular. You can't put that movie on TV. You'd miss a third of the dialogue.
Yeah.
And they'd have to cut scenes out. You know, or at the beginning they're like, this format has been edited for the version of this screen in this time frame. The movie would be like an hour.
Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't be in it.
No.
Right.
No. He wouldn't be in it.
He wouldn't be in it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Like that whole character would have to be written just a different way.
Yeah.
That whole thing is like very smart. It's like,
it is. It's so unexpectedly funny.
What's the other dude? What's the name of the other dude's energy drink though? Like Booty Sweat or something like that?
Man. Yeah.
In that movie, and I guess another thing with this list that you're going to find out when we're going through this bracket is that like which movies aged well. Because like that movie aged super well. Some of these other movies, it's like, all right, time. I see why I laughed at that when I was 19.
Right.
Right. But like watching that at 38, I'm like, I don't know about this, guys.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
All right. Tropic Thunder moves on. You know what? Let's take care of the top half of the bracket then. So you got Superbad and Tropic Thunder. I'm going to still go Superbad moving into the final four. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's Superbad for me. It's too strong. It's way too good. I mean, as much as I appreciate Tropic Thunder, Superbad is an all-timer.
I would have picked Tropic Thunder, but it doesn't matter. So
Doesn't matter,
okay.
dude. Keep your mouth shut. Yeah,
Super
nobody
Bad
cares.
is there in the final four. Okay.
All right, bottom left, we have number 4, Step Brothers against number 13, Role Models.
That's Step Brothers for me. That's a no-brainer. Like I'm fine with Role Models being on this list. It's a lower ranked movie, but
Paul Rudd's
it's Step
in it,
Brothers.
so.
Never stood a chance.
I will say if you've not watched the bloopers from Role Models, like the blooper reel, go on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
that
good
is
call.
funnier. It's actually probably better than the movie. The bloopers from that movie are absolutely hilarious. But that's a clean sweep with Step Brothers. Number 5, Forgetting Sarah Marshall against number 12, 21 Jump Street. I'm gonna jump in here, boys. I am so passionate about Forgetting Sarah Marshall being one of the greatest comedy movies legitimately ever made, which may predict what my push is going to be as this bracket moves forward. But that entire movie to me is like a masterpiece. I love that movie. So I'm clearly taking Forgetting Sarah Marshall in this instance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like 21 Jump Street has its moments, but I don't think it has like the staying power. I don't think it's as funny the second and third and fourth time you watch it. Like I just get annoyed with Channing Tatum, to be honest with you. But in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, it's so good. It's so good. And it was made early. Like a lot, you look at when all these movies were made, it was kind of like one of the earlier ones. So that has my vote too.
God, I don't like either of these movies. There's a problem my problem with Forgetting Sarah Marshall is that Forgetting Sarah Marshall is too long. If Forgetting Sarah Marshall was under 90 minutes, it would be cool. But it's like 2 hours long. Like it's long. Like
I'll give you
Sarah
that.
Marshall just gets it's too long for me. But it's fine. The movie's funny. I'm picking that one. But 21 Jump Street is just.
You don't like it.
Oof, I don't like it. And the thing is, I like Channing Tatum. So, he's on the white boy rankings list. He's up there,
Oh no.
He's up there.
I'm reading into this, and Paul Rudd in Forgetting Sarah Marshall plays a character called Kunu, who, if you cut his screen time, that might cut around the amount of time out of the movie that Dee Dee's asking for. So as this goes along, we're going to really have to think about Paul Rudd's in some of these other movies too. So Dee Dee, I'm seeing through your decision making here. Okay, we have Step Brothers and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and based on the preamble I went through earlier, I'm picking Forgetting Sarah Marshall in this matchup. What do you boys have?
Step Brothers.
Oh no, you're not throwing this to me.
Yeah, it's going to you.
Just pivotal, Dan.
Step Brothers a 4. Forgetting Sarah Marshall a 5.
Classic 4-5.
A classic 4-5 matchup. I gotta go Step Brothers. I do. Slim victory there, but I think I gotta go Step Brothers. I quote that movie way more frequently. It's also on a lot. So
it is on a lot.
It's a constant reminder of how funny that movie is when it's on every other day on Comedy Central.
All right, I hate it, but okay, we have in the one side Superbad and Step Brothers. Okay, let's go to the right side. The other guys up against Ted. This is a 2-15. Can I just say I don't even think the other guys should be in this bracket, and let alone the fact that they are the number 2 seed. This movie, I mean, it happened a while ago, but I feel like it's like in between now and like when all of these other movies for the most part were made. So I feel like it doesn't fit in here. And I also just didn't enjoy it. So I'm going to go with Ted. But the matchup here with the seating seems strange.
It's because the other guys made a bunch of money. It's got like everyone and their mother in it. Aren't The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in the other guys?
True. Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Jump off a building.
And like Mark Wahlberg's in it. Like, it's like there's a lot of people. Like, that's the thing. There's a bunch of people on the other guys. So I get why it's popular, but I'm not a fan of the other guys either. I think there's other movies that could have been in here other than that one. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Ted. But Ted's another one. Too long. But Ted.
This is I agree that neither of these movies are really deserve. The Other Guys as a 2 seed is completely a travesty. It's ridiculous that it's that high. I think both of these movies should be the 15 seed. Like, this is the play-in game. This is 15-15.
They're in Dayton.
You're both 15 seed. Yeah, they're in Dayton. So I'm actually glad that my vote doesn't matter here. I probably would have picked The Other Guys again just because I've seen it more. I haven't seen all of Ted, but this is trash. This is complete trash.
I remember when Ted was coming out, and I was like, that sounds like the dumbest movie of all time. What is Mark Wahlberg doing with his career? And then, like, everybody loved it. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's more clever than I thought it was going to be. I thought the trailers for that movie were terrible.
Yeah, same. I watched it on a plane, and that's when I was like, oh, this is actually, like, done well. But then it's gone too long. It just goes too long.
Yeah.
They ran around Fenway Park for like a half hour.
Jesus.
All right, the 7 seed, 40-year-old virgin up against 40-year-old virgin up against number 10 Anchorman. What say you?
This might be the toughest matchup in the entire bracket for me.
Paul Rudd's in both movies, so that does make it tough.
Both movies. And like 7-10 matchups are historically great. But I think these are both rated a little too low, especially Anchorman. Anchorman should not be a double-digit seed. If you're going top 16 movies, Anchorman belongs in the single-digit conversation. These are two of my favorite movies on this entire bracket. But I think I gotta go Anchorman here. I gotta go Anchorman with the upset, 10/7.
Funny calling that an upset. So this really is like a 10-7 matchup, because like usually when a 10
right
7, you're like half the country.
It's like you're like, yeah, that's it. It's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
right.
Like we all knew. Yeah. God. I'm gonna go with Anchorman. Anchorman's funnier. It's just it's funnier. That's Will Ferrell, like. That's peak Will Ferrell.
Oh, it's genius. That character. It's a genius character.
I mean,
and only he could play that movie. Play that character.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys, but this was hard. Like, 40-year-old virgin with Steve Carell. Like, I feel like nobody knew who he was, and then he did that movie, and it was just insanely funny. And then he got The Office right after that, and like he became who he is, like that. So. There's so much in that movie. But yeah, like I feel like Anchorman, if I'm going on the criteria I mentioned at the beginning, I gotta go. All right. So then we have Anchorman and Ted. Is that right? Is that who we picked?
Yeah, correct.
So Anchorman, right?
Anchorman 100%. For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anchorman.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the bottom right. Borat at a 3 seed. And Wedding Crashers at a 14. The whole right side of this bracket, the seating is not great. I think I know where you guys are going, but let's hear it.
This is a travesty. I have a problem with this so hard because Borat is my favorite. I'm picking Borat, but like I know Wedding Crashers is gonna go, but I just want Borat Hive to know that I feel you. This is the smartest and funniest comedy of maybe of my lifetime. I love Borat so much. I think it is hysterical. I love it so much. And the thing is, I love Wedding Crashers. Wedding Crashers is my number 2. These two would be in the finals for me in this, if I'm looking at all the movies on this bracket and they're facing each other in the first round. This is stupid. This is just dumb. Like it makes me very angry that I have to pick these two, that I have to pick between these two now. But
every single one of the movies in here is like a studio movie, and then there's Borat. Like, I feel like Borat is a completely different style of movie. It's weird. It is a comedy, but it's almost weird that it's in this bracket because it's not. It's just it's not the same type of movie, whereas all the others pretty much are.
But it's hilarious.
It is funny.
It is so funny. And it's another thing where aging well. Like, God, man, that movie's so funny. Like, Kazakhstan's one of the largest countries in the world. Nobody knows what it is. Like, it just makes us all, it makes us collectively, like, not just the people that he's talking to, you feel stupid watching it. Because you're just like, why the fuck don't I know this? So it's just like, God, it's fucking. But yeah.
I don't mind Borat being on this list. I think it deserves this, but Wedding Crashers as a 14 seed is the biggest joke I have ever seen. They mixed up the other guys in Wedding Crashers. They mix up those seeds. The other guy should be a 14 seed. Wedding Crashers should be the 2. That's what it should be. If you look at this bracket, those should be switched. So like this matchup isn't even really fair, even just because of that. But it's Wedding Crashers. I literally quote Wedding Crashers every week, and on this podcast frequently.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's not even close for me.
Yeah, same here. Wedding Crashers for sure. All right, then the bottom half of this bracket, we have The Hangover as a 6 seed, Old School as an 11 seed. I'll be honest with you, boys. This one is, I think, the toughest for me to pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're spaced out pretty far in terms of when these movies came out. So like experiencing each of these in different phases of life, where it's like Old School, I think, came out when we were like graduating high school, whereas The Hangover came out like when we were graduating college. Like that's a 5 or 6 year difference, but it's like a pretty big difference in terms of like who you are when you watch these movies. And they hit at the perfect time, I think, for both of them. I thought that they were both hilarious. They both took like the comedy world by storm. Everybody was talking about these movies when they came out. So I have a hard time picking between these two. What do you boys have?
Hangover. This was very simple for me. I am
really.
Oh, speaking of movies that I haven't seen all of, Old School I've never seen all of because I'm like, I can't do this. I'm out.
Wow.
Not hate. It's just like, it's one of those things where you're just like, do I need to finish this? No, I'm good.
I think you make a good point, Chris, with how early Old School came out. And then when the Hangover came out, it was huge.
Massive.
I remember it was huge.
Like everybody, there are a few movies that I can think back on where everybody was talking about it. And like, this is like, I don't mean on Twitter. I mean, like every person that you met in person wanted to talk about that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I got to give as much as I love and appreciate Old School, and I kind of want to do Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson in the next matchup with Wedding Crashers and Old School. I kind of want to see that, but no, I got to go Hangover. It's just it's too. It keeps you don't know, you never know what's coming with that movie. Not that you know what's coming with Old School either, but I got to lean Hangover there.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, and I'm fine with that. It was hard to pick, and I feel like I'm good with either winner. So we got The Hangover and Wedding Crashers, and that, I guess, then now this is just like the next hardest pick that I have to make. Both of them are, for me, appointment viewing. Like, if these are on TV, I'm watching it. So I don't know which way to go.
It's Wedding Crashers for me, even though they both, because I was trying to think, like, what are the holes in both these movies? And, like, it's Wedding Crashers for me because the annoyance in Wedding Crashers is just, I guess it's somewhat relatable at like in the weird part when they leave the weddings, when they leave them, they go to the people's house, like that's fine. But then The Hangover is just like, I don't know. Like I'm kind of like ready for it to end. Like when I watch it now, I'm like, okay, I need it to go. But Wedding Crashers still keeps me in. Will Ferrell in the whole funeral part, it draws me back in. I'm like, get bored, and then it's like, all right, we're back. The Hangover never really does that for me. It's like, we're good, and then it's like, okay, let's end. So, Wedding Crashers for me.
This is definitely the toughest matchup here. I mean, these are two of my all-time favorites. And also, Hangover, one of the few movies that had a successful sequel, right? I don't know if I ever saw the third one. Was there a third one?
Yeah. They were
right?
back
I don't know if I've
Vegas
seen the third one.
For it. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if I've seen all of that one, but so many lasting memories from both of these movies. Again, extremely difficult, extremely close for me. Let me put it to you this way. I can't not pick Wedding Crashers. It's just that simple. I can't not pick Wedding Crashers. So that's my vote.
All right. Wedding Crashers moves on. It's interesting, Didi, when you talk about the holes in the movie.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I do remember being like at the end of The Hangover, like he's on the roof, like he wouldn't yell for somebody on the roof. Like,
Yeah, it's just
right.
I know that's not the point. The point of the movie was to be funny, you know?
Yeah.
But like we couldn't have come up with something more creative than that at the end. That always kind of
Yeah.
irked me.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
like you're just yeah, and then you watch it again. It's like you watch it again, and you're just like, all right. It's like you get, you know, you get to it. But the thing is, Wedding Crashers like that too. The only thing about Wedding Crashers is like the first 45 minutes of Wedding Crashers is quite possibly the best cinema of all time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
It's
yes.
unbelievable. It's like, like I don't know the exact time, but like that first there are few things more entertaining than the first 45 minutes of that movie. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like,
From the start to crab cakes and football,
Oh.
that meaty portion right at the beginning
Bruh.
there, it definitely turns from that point on. But yes, completely agree with you.
like, good God.
Okay. All right. So then we have our final four is Superbad against Step Brothers, and then we have, is it Anchorman against Wedding Crashers?
Yeah, which is a classic 10-14 matchup in the final four. We got 1 versus 5 on the other side, but 10-14 on the right.
Let's go back to the left. Superbad and Step Brothers. What do you boys think? What do you got? It gets tougher and tougher, doesn't it? I guess that's the point.
Didi, one screaming out to you. This is tough for me.
So the only reason I would pick Superbad is because I went out on a date with this girl that I was like fully like did not think was into me at all, and saw Superbad. And so I was very proud of myself when I went to see Superbad with this girl. But it's Step Brothers, because that's honestly the only reason I would have picked it, because I have very fond memories of Superbad. When I went to see
I thought you were
Superbad.
explaining why you were picking Superbad.
No,
Yeah,
I'm thinking Step Brothers, because that's literally the only reason why I would have picked it, is because I have very fond memories of being 17 or 18 years old and like going to see Superbad with this girl that, sheesh, not gonna say any names.
That's for the subscription. That's for the
That's
the paid platform.
There
You'll
you
get the
go.
name on the paid platform.
Yeah.
Wow.
GoFundMe.
Well, Chris, I'm gonna make it tough on you. I'm afraid, my friend. I'm going Superbad. I am. I'm gonna go Superbad over Step Brothers narrowly, because like what Superbad did for Jonah Hill is like, I'm like, look at where his career is now. Is just like crazy. It's crazy, and like those were like they were young. They were all young in that movie acting, and it's just so funny. So I got to go Superbad over Step Brothers, but that's really tough.
It's funny you say it that way, Dan, because that was going to be my rationale, is to pick Superbad, because like when Step Brothers came out, Will Ferrell already had a bunch of hits.
Yeah.
When Superbad came out, Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, even like Seth Rogen, like the people in that movie were very earlier in their career, and you did not know much of anything about them. I mean, obviously they had been in other stuff. It was funny after Superbad came out and was such a smash hit, like all these other Jonah Hill movies got released that he like did that never ended up getting released. But then they came out because like Jonah Hill, I don't know, this is probably something you shouldn't say, but like all these movies came out at the same time where he was vastly different sizes. Like Jonah Hill was a different size human being in all these movies that came out within like 2 years of each other. And it's like, what the hell? And he was like younger and older, and it's because he did all this stuff that like didn't succeed until Superbad. So yeah, I'm going Superbad on this one. I would be fine either way, but I'm going Superbad. In the final against Anchorman versus Wedding Crashers, boys. Anchorman versus Wedding Crashers. I think that there are equal one-liners coming out of both of these movies.
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to like the individual performance though, and like I think Vince Vaughn's performance in Wedding Crashers could be considered the greatest comedic performance of all time. I really do, and like I've heard interviews with him about Wedding Crashers, and like you can tell he didn't want to like throw the rest of the team under the bus, but like you can tell in Wedding Crashers, like probably 50% of his lines he just made them up. Like I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedic performance of all time. So I'm gonna go Wedding Crashers in this one. What do you guys have?
It's Wedding Crashers for me, but I think the person who owns that movie is Isla Fisher. Like I think she's the greatest person in this movie. I think she's incredible in this movie. It's like every time she makes me laugh more than anyone in this movie. And I do not like Owen Wilson. Can't stand him. Cannot stand him. Hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him. Hate Owen Wilson. Rachel McAdams is so good in this movie that she makes me like Owen Wilson. Like, and Vince Vaughn, and also to Vince Vaughn's credit, he makes me like Owen Wilson. Like, you know how you have that friend in anybody's friend group that you just really don't like, but you really like that one, but you like the one friend, so you deal with the other one? That's Owen Wilson. They bring them up. I love Rachel, Isla, and Vince are so like lovable and likable in this movie that they make me like Owen Wilson. Wedding Crashers.
There you go. I did fall in love with Rachel McAdams pretty hard after this movie came.
Good.
Easy to do in 2005, prime time for us. Even the full like Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson are they are this movie. They are Wedding Crashers. And in terms of like buddy comedies, if you even want to call what that is, it's unlike anything we'd ever seen before. And they're both so funny with each other. And then you have Christopher Walken in the movie, Jane Seymour's in the movie. Oh, and by the way, Bradley Cooper's in the movie before he becomes Bradley Cooper. Just the lines from every single one of them. This is the deep cast. It's honestly one of my favorites of all time. So this is really tough though, because I love Anchorman. We talked about how great Will Ferrell was in Anchorman, but also Vince Vaughn in both movies, right? Anchorman, Vince Vaughn. So head to head for himself, but I got to go Crashers.
Well, then this final has evolved in just the most perfect way possible, because if it wasn't going to be Forgetting Sarah Marshall here, Superbad Wedding Crashers to me is like that. If you're going to say, oh, what's the best matchup in this era of comedies, I think we nailed it. There's some twists and turns to how we got here, but it's Superbad against Wedding Crashers. Holy shit.
I don't even know how to approach this one.
I'll approach it. Wedding Crashers. Indulge, fellas.
Really?
Yeah, like it's not even close.
Easy for you?
Not even remotely close. Like,
yeah,
I'm good. Like, listen, McLovin made me laugh the first time I saw this movie. Didn't make me laugh any other time after I watched it. Like, I'm good. I'm like, I get it. I get why people like Superbad. It just, I'm good. Superbad has a fond memory of a fun night when I was in high school. That's what it does for me. Wedding Crashers.
It's not as easy for me. I'll say that right now.
Well, while you guys think, see, literally, Superbad on this bracket, it's really funny because I'm looking at the bracket this way. It really is like you're filling out the NCAA tournament bracket. There's always that one you're like, I really don't like Purdue, and I want them to lose.
Oh
but
man,
they're not gonna. They're gonna go to the Final Four. Like I don't like Zach Edey. Like I don't like, but they're gonna go there. And that's what literally it's with like filling out. Every time you fill out an NCAA tournament bracket, you're just like, well, I mean, like, I don't think that Duke team's good. Like,
yeah.
But then you put them in the Final Four. So that's Superbad for me.
Yeah. I think both of these are good. I don't think we got a Zach Edey in here. Okay.
Yeah. If anything, the other guys is Arizona. And we know they're going to lose. Which is, again, why they sort of switched spots on this bracket. And we'd have a 1-2 matchup right now, appropriately. But now it's 1-14 because these idiots put Wedding Crashers at 14. But that doesn't make it any easier for me. What are you leaning, Chris? Do you have an idea here? He took the pressure off himself real quickly. He just threw the pass back over to us.
This is so easy.
I guess what I'm thinking in my head right now is like, if both of these are on TV at the same time, which one am I choosing?
That's a great way to look at it.
And I'm probably I'm probably like full Wedding Crashers, and then during commercials going to Superbad. So I guess Wedding Crashers is my pick.
If I'm looking at it the same way, I think I agree with you that I'm spending the most time watching Wedding Crashers if I have to pick between the two. I honestly think, for me, Wedding Crashers is the movie I quote the most out of any movie ever made in the history of cinema. Maybe Home Alone would be a close second. Unfortunately, not in this bracket.
About Whoopi, Dan. You quote Whoopi a lot too, okay?
That's true. Sister Act, Mrs. Doubtfire, a lot of those. But I like that way of thinking of it. Which if they were both on at the same time, which are you watching? And I think I'm watching Wedding Crashers. So that ends up being a clean sweep for the three of us in the championship.
All right. Well, your 14 seed Wedding Crashers, just like
Wow.
Florida Gulf Coast. They just plowed their way through the tournament bracket.
There's never a doubt.
Yeah.
Never a doubt.
There's
led by Vince.
We could talk about this for a whole nother episode. Like, there's other movies that maybe should have been in here. But like, I think Get Him to the Greek is one of the sneakiest, funniest, sneaky movies of all time.
Which is
like, that should be in here.
Partly funny and exists because of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Okay, those two movies are
there. You go. Hey, nice. Yeah.
God, Forgetting Sarah Marshall is so good.
There you go.
Would have run through the losers bracket and then played.
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers. That was fun. I'm glad we did that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was
a lot of fun.
We hadn't done a bracket in a long time, so I'm happy we did it.
We were
right.
All right. Well, should we do the Disney thing? Yeah. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can run through that quick.
Let's run through that. Yes, yeah, somewhat quickly. Yeah.
All right, and we'll move right into music. All right. So, the Walt Disney Company doing something interesting, putting out an album called A Whole New Sound, which is a new album of reimagined Disney songs with a pop punk take on it. It features Newfound Glory doing Part of Your World, Simple Plan doing Can You Feel the Love Tonight. We've got Yellow Card, We the Kings, Plain White Tees, Boys Like Girls, Meet Me at the Altar, which I'm very excited to hear. There's Tokyo Hotel, Bowling for Soup, all doing different Disney classics. What do you guys think, guys? What do you guys think? You guys are the ones that were in a band inspired by this generation. What do you think?
This is literally made for us. Like, literally made for us.
Yeah.
Artists that we grew up listening to, looking up to, still listen to now, and songs from movies we grew up watching. It's coming together, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. I never thought I'd get so excited for something Disney related ever again. But shouts to the millennials in the Disney conference room that are like, hey, here's a thought. What do you think if we do something like this? And I know we've got a couple songs that are already out that we can chat about, but this seems like a dream. This seems like a dream. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, well, the whole elder emo thing is now becoming very popular, and
yes,
I resonate with that wholeheartedly. So a couple of the songs are out. The one that I really enjoyed and was kind of surprised that they put it in here was the Magnolia Park Eye to Eye. I don't know if you guys or any of our listeners have actually watched a Goofy movie, but like the soundtrack to that movie is legitimately amazing. It is like,
yes.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's like if I would have been older in the 80s, it's like what I would have wanted all the music to sound like. It's an unbelievable soundtrack. And you boys know I love the 80s. So I really liked their cover of that song. I just was very surprised that they included it because it's not a popular Disney movie when you look at all the other ones that are in here.
It's not, and it should be. It's an underrated movie, and you took the words out of my mouth. The soundtrack for that movie and this song, Eye to Eye, that song is a jam.
Yeah.
And Magnolia Park's version of it makes it a jam. Like, there are some iconic songs on this album. They got a great, however it was selected or whatever, that they got that song. Great song, great movie.
Dude, Tevin Campbell is the one who sings, and like that's full like time and play. Like if you weren't there between like 92 and 94, like you have no idea who Tevin Campbell is. But
Right.
go back, watch the Fresh Prince episode for Ashley's birthday, and watch him make Ashley pass out.
Yeah.
Like Tevin Campbell when he sings all
Happy
through
birthday
Yeah.
to you.
Oh God, dude, Tevin Campbell, man. I remember going to National Record Mart to get his tape. Man, dude, Tevin Campbell,
boy.
man. Can we talk? Dude, Tevin Campbell's my guy. But yeah, he's the one who's singing throughout that's wow, those songs are great. But yeah, dude, I like that. I think I like that one the most. And one thing I like, and you guys didn't hear the Newfound Glory part of your world. It's really cool. My only issue, this is a little issue with it, right? Is that like you've got a band that's all girls on this album. I feel like they should have done part of your world, not Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
But
Meet Me at the Altar should have taken it.
But it's like, but regardless, it's still good. I like the takes of this. I think it's cool. Disney does this every so many years of different people singing classic songs from movies, and I think it's cool that they're doing like a full just. It's not just one song on a collection of different ones. It's like, you know, doing a whole album of this, and I don't know. I like it a lot. But yeah, I definitely stands out.
Yeah, and Simple Plan's "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" is the other one that's out, and I was a little nervous because like that song by Elton John is just an amazing song to begin with, but like the Simple Plan's version could not have turned out any better, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
So we get the rest of these coming out. I think September 6th is when the rest of it comes out. That's gonna be we are definitely gonna have to follow up.
Oh yeah,
and break more of these down. But this is a great idea. No. Like I want to go out and buy the CD. Like could they still
reopen Sam Goody? I'm heading over.
Yes, be first in line September 6th.
But yeah, this is just very smart. And also, I wonder how easy this was to do. Just because while listening to those songs, I was like, I bet Newfound Glory just had that. Like somebody called them and they're like, hey, you want to do a song for a Disney movie? And they were like, here's 6 of them. We've already got it.
Yeah, they have multiple albums called From the Screen to Your Stereo that are all covers. So you're probably right. They're probably like, oh, we were going to do this anyway.
Yes. You just look at like the ages of some of the bands and like some of them are newer, some of them are older, but it's like Bowling for Soup's doing Friend Like Me. They've had that forever. You know what I mean? It's like, I bet once they started thinking about this, it was like, wait, how many of these bands just like have these laying around? All of them. And if you know anything about Meet Me at the Altar, who we all like they probably have all of these songs done. They were just like, which one do you want us to do? You want Encanto? Right. We got you. You want Let It Go? We got you. What do you want? What do you want us to do? Like, so yeah, I'm very excited to listen to this. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's get into what we're listening to this week. Chris, what you got?
Yeah, so Simple Plan did Can You Feel the Love Tonight, right? The Elton John one, that's the one they did. Yeah. So I just want to put this on the playlist to have people listen and compare, because our good friends Eternal Boy have also done that same song as a punk cover, which I feel like I'm biased and I like it more than the Simple Plan one, but probably just because I've listened to it for like 10 years before the Simple Plan one came out. So put that one on there this week, and you can do a little comparison.
Nice.
I love that. I love that. It's a good call. First one up for me is gonna be from Foster the People. Their brand new album Paradise State of Mind came out this past week, and the whole album is just really, really, really good. I didn't know what to expect from Foster the People. I knew they'd have some good hits in there, but the whole album, top to bottom, it's really strong. The song I'll put on it is called See You in the Afterlife. It starts the album off, and it's kind of like it represents the album. It's a little groovy. There's kind of some disco elements to it. It's a little funky, electric, and it's just, again, I love this album and a really good song, See You in the Afterlife, from Foster the People.
All right. I'm going to go with, I put them on the playlist a couple weeks ago. Masterpiece, to put their song Home with Wale on the playlist because I felt like it made me feel 2010s nostalgia, not 2000s, 2010s nostalgia. Well, they have another song called Save Me on this 5-song EP that comes out soon. And it sounds like a Kid Cudi song. It's funny that the 2010s are now a form of reference for people. But that's what this artist masterpiece is doing. And I love this so much. It just makes me feel like, I feel like 2010s music makes me feel like how people feel about the 80s. And I think it's because like that's like right after I graduated from college, like like that decade. But 2010s music makes me feel something special more than any other decade of music. So
Bro, yeah. It's because we listened to all of that music at the bars with no response.
yeah, and like lived
Mhm.
life and like all these new things were going on. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it just. But Save Me by Masterpiece. That good record.
Okay, my second one, I haven't picked a song, but I'm gonna put something from a band called Homegrown on the playlist. Because they're back, which just happened out of nowhere. One of
Wow.
my favorite, as we talk pop punk, one of my favorite pop punk bands that nobody seemingly ever has heard of, but like actually shaped the genre back in that drive-through era. Like they were touring with Blink in the late 90s. They were very big and then just disappeared. They have an album called Kings of Pop that I believe they're coming back to like celebrate it or something like that because they have some shows booked. I need to dig in more, but like all of a sudden their social media accounts have fired up with like all this historical, like, hey, here's where we were, here's what we did, here's where we are now, which, man, I've been asking for that band to come back for so long. So I'm very, very happy about it. So I'm going to put something from Homegrown on the playlist this week.
Okay, I like that. Big news there. Speaking of music from back in the day in the 2010s, Neon Trees. What's
Hey.
up, Neon Trees? And they quietly put out one of like the best albums in 2020, and most people probably didn't hear it, but the album from start to finish was absolutely incredible, like shockingly good. And they've got a new album coming out in September, and so they dropped a song called El Diablo, and it's dancey, super catchy, and I hope it's a taste of like what the rest of that album sounds like and a glimpse of what we had in 2020 from Neon Trees. Hello, welcome back.
And more 2010s nostalgia. ASAP Rocky put out a very, very good song. And I didn't even know ASAP Rocky made music anymore. Like, does fashion, makes babies with Rihanna. Like, why do you need to do
Yeah.
anything else? I wouldn't. I don't.
Literally.
For what? Like, you made like your best album was Two Babies with Rihanna. Like, I come on. But he has a song out called Hijack, and it's really freaking good. Like, it's just, if you ever liked ASAP Rocky at any point, you're gonna like this song. Gives you exactly what you want. Hijack ASAP Rocky.
All right. My last one is from a band called Honey Creek, who I've featured on the podcast before. Honey Creek, hailing from the great state of
Wisconsin.
There we go. The great state of Wisconsin. Dan knows, my home state. They have a new album out called Self-Preservation. I have just begun to dug into it. So by the time Dan asks for songs for the playlist, I will have a song. But
Okay.
this is one of my favorite, like legitimately very new pop punk bands. So I'm excited.
Love it, love it, love it. Speaking of new, I've got a new artist for everybody on the playlist this week called his name is Michigander. So not quite Wisconsin, but we're going Michigan this time, and he goes by Michigander. And I've heard a couple of his songs, over the past few years or so. But the one he released this past week called Giving Up kind of stuck out to me. And it's like the melody and things like that are kind of simple, but it kind of gives you some summer road trip kind of vibes. It feels like it's a good song for that. Like I said, this is the last weekend. Get out there, do the things. Throw on Giving Up by Michigander. Check him out.
All right. My last one. I talked about this dude last week. Jordan Adetunji. I believe that's how you say his name. I've said it wrong last week, but I think it's Tunji this week. But anyways, he's got a song called Zach and Cody that we're putting on the playlist this week. Zach and Cody is, dude, this guy,
Full circle.
this kid is doing lots of cool things with music, and it gets me very, very excited. I love this. I love this kid. Like, this is not 2010s nostalgia, other than, I guess, the name of the song, because that's probably when he was like born. He's like 20. But like, dude, this song and him, everything about this guy. But yeah, check it out. Zach and Cody. Jordan Adetunji. And that's what we're listening to. So check out the playlist on Spotify. Tell Siri, tell Alexa to play the sounds of Brunch Boys, coming to an end. GoFundMe brunch. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I want to know how much would you be willing to pay us each week to hear stuff that we can't or won't say in public?
Yes, let us know. And I think one of our first topics on Brunch Uncensored should be a bracket of Paul Rudd films and what we think. And we'd have to do that in the uncensored version because Dee Dee would say unspeakable things about one of the greatest comedic actors of all time.
And I want to hear about that super bad date that he had.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the brunch breakdown. We're out.